What's up, everybody?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice and cold this morning.
You know, I try my best to keep it cold for
I
you.
appreciate it.
Now, let me tell you something.
Tell me.
I'm kind of frustrated with all brands.
What you got, C4 today?
C4.
I should have did a V8. C4 and a V8, it's almost like double.
There's some kind of chemical formula right there. But you broke some rules with our energy drink policy, so I'm done with partnerships. I've thrown them out.
Done with them.
So I'm just trying everything, looking for the right drink.
We're just searching.
And not because we need them. Not because we need them. But because we
Not
want
because it's bright and early on a Monday
Not because
morning.
it's early and I can barely see out my left eye.
No.
We just
enjoy it.
Yeah, we just enjoy
It's like a good cup of coffee right there.
Yeah. Except it tastes like strawberry watermelon ice. That's 0 sugar. So I hope this doesn't have like no creatine in it or something.
It does. That's why it's called C.
Honestly, I didn't check the ingredients because my face might start getting.
That's a sports performance drink right there, son.
This is a sport right here.
It is.
Preaching is a sport. Podcast, hanging on to a podcast with you is a sport. So here we are.
It's a good day yesterday.
It's a good day. This was a one-off sermon.
One-off. You preached in Aynor.
Aynor.
Every campus pastor preached their own sermon on generations.
Mm-hmm.
Being Grandparents' Day, kind of gave them the I don't know if freedom's the right word. The freedom to say, hey, you preach whatever you want to on this day, but stay in this vein.
Yeah.
Rather than here goes my sermon, preach it. So
for sure.
So everybody kind of had some leniency this week, and hopefully it was beneficial. Yeah,
I have been given some instruction. So if you're watching or listening right now, what we do, if this is your first time, is this is Monday Morning Quarterback. It is we go take some of the tape from yesterday's service, and we go back and watch it, ask questions, some things behind the scene that you don't normally get to hear or you probably wouldn't notice in a service. We go back and look at those things. And so usually I like to start it off this way with one of what I felt like was one of the points that kind of you could build out around. And I thought this point right here that you made was super impactful. You just talked about the same enemy but just repackaged.
They're just the same enemy, just repackaged. The same enemy of division 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. We've all been fighting battles of division, but now all of a sudden in this culture, we just repackage it. And now division that has been around forever, now all of a sudden instead of slavery, now all of a sudden it's young versus old, and Democrat versus Republican, and black versus white versus Mexican, and we have all of this division just repackaged, just a new sword, right?
Yeah. So the concept of that moment was. This giant at the end of David's life came to take him out, and the Bible says that he had a new sword. And I'm sure if you search that out, David cutting off Goliath's head with his sword, and I'm sure he wielded that thing and promoted it. I don't know how it went, but in my head I see him, this almost being like this centerpiece of the castle, this sword of Goliath, and now this new giant with a new sword. And so as we're talking about generations, like David's old, ready to give up, and so a new giant rises, same Philistines, same lineage of Goliath, but he has a new sword. And how in our lives things are just repackaged. That was one of I used 4 or 5 different concepts there. That was just one of them, where division is something, all around. It has been from the beginning. Yeah. It has been something that's always been a part of our lives, but now we're divided. And I mean, and honestly, like you asked me earlier, like, hey, are you okay that you said the word Mexican? And I'm like, yeah, because like in our culture, like it's not even Hispanic anymore. Like it's black, white versus Mexican.
Yeah.
Like we have in other states, the country of Mexico, Mexicans fighting against whites and blacks, and all 3 of us fighting against each other. And so yeah, I didn't misspeak there. I meant that. Like it is truly a point of division inside of our culture on both sides. It's not just like, there's the there's parts of the world where people are just discriminated against, and it's not just discrimination against a group of people, like, maybe in, Israel or whatever against Jews. No, this is like we all have this culture that's teaching us to not like each other and to create discord between each other.
And it's so interesting because I think from my perspective, probably people who are my age and younger would say, they would try to say, you haven't dealt with what I'm dealing with. And what you're saying here is like same enemy repackaged.
Absolutely. Yeah, and honestly, I use sexual orientation as one of these things. New enemy. I mean, same enemy, new packaging. Where today you have instant access on your phones. Social media drives 20 years ago, prior to social media, when I got married, if you wanted to flirt with a girl, you had to go up to a girl or write a letter, on a paper and hand it to her.
Yeah.
Hey man, you get us that girl, whatever. Like, now there's flirting that takes place in fishy flirting. Like, I always call it people fishing, where they're not really flirting, but kind of flirting to see if you'll accept their flirts or whatever. And it's just everywhere on social media. Yeah. So there's this temptation of the what could be, even outside of your marriage. Oh, I wonder what could be here. And so that's something that wasn't normal, or it may have been normal 20 years ago. It's just repackaged today. Right. Where you used to, again, the flip side of that, 20 years ago, we didn't have trackers on everybody's phone and Life 360 to tell you where you're at, so there wasn't that level of accountability. So a dad just left and, didn't show up for, 5 or 6 hours. Where you at? I was at the store, mom. Mom couldn't say, well, Life 360 says you're here. So every generation is different. It's just been repackaged. Yeah. And so now as technology has grown, this is how it's been repackaged with this technology.
Yeah, that's good.
And again, it's not just those two. There's so many different things. We talked about abortion there, where hundreds of years ago, they were throwing kids into fires to sacrifice them to the gods. Now we just repackage it and call it abortion and say it's good. It's cool. Yikes.
So,
transition out of that, bro.
How do I find my plug here? How do I find it? Nope, not happening. So this is how I do it, right here. So we're going back to the beginning of service.
Okay.
I thought this was interesting, kind of getting the vibe of how worship's transitioned into announcements.
Come on, would you lift it up for Jesus this morning?
Sim must have been feeling it because he did a woo. You did a big woo. Maddie did a good woo.
It is good to be in the house of the Lord today. Amen.
Amen.
You can be.
Y'all carry like a certain energy. Like that first song definitely carries a certain amount of energy for what it's supposed to do. But it was almost like that first song must have, everybody just must have been clicking and must have been just like, here we go, let's get ready. Was that particularly that song? Was it the 9 a.m. service felt really good, so you felt good coming into this service? Or is this just, I don't feel like this was a normal woo. That just from my research.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I definitely think that I am always making some sort of noise when I come to the center there because I want to make sure my mic is on. So I'm always making some sort of noise.
There you go.
So when Sim asked for a woo, I gave him the woo that he asked for, come on, get a large shot of praise, whatever he said,
Yeah.
Woo, so I don't know that the song was just amazing, incredible. I don't know that it was like a moment of, wow, this is powerful, or if it was just the energy in the room. It was a great day, everybody was in it, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking there.
Yeah. So, if anything,
I probably was just participating in worship like the worship leader asked me to.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, guys, hear that. He's testing his mic at the same time. So, yeah. So going into announcements, we start talking through it a little bit. here is
Wednesday night at 7.
our
Next
talk
Sunday,
about
we are
anniversary
celebrating
service.
18 years here.
Crazy.
18.
Woo!
About graduating from high
It's going to be
school.
a fun day. Listen, if
Crazy.
you've been here for 2 weeks or 20 years, 18 years, this service is going to feel all-encompassing. You're going to be a part of it. So don't be like, oh, I haven't been there long enough for this,
May not have
this
been the
day
right
to...
word. All encompassing. Does it encompass all? I hope that's what it does. That was my attempt to include everybody. 2 weeks or 20 years.
Yeah, no, it's we'll call it all encompassing. But talk about the importance. 18 years for you, how you feel about 18 years, and what anniversary service means to you specifically. Why we do it, because we know that we just don't do events. We can't be in the place just to do events to do them. So why do we take a lot of time and effort to put into something like an anniversary service?
Yeah. Year one, I didn't know if I would make it.
Wow.
You know how special John DeHaven's 18th birthday will be whenever you were unsure if he was going to make it year one?
Yeah. It's going to be...
Right. And so year one, I didn't know if I was going to make it. Year 5, I didn't know if I was going to make it. Year 7, I didn't know if I was going to make it. Year 15, I didn't know if I was going to make it. And so you go through this. Year 18, I didn't know I was going to make it. No, you go through these seasons of ministry where you are passionately pouring yourself out. And I am not good at celebrating. It is. I tell the staff all the time. I tell every leadership development class that comes through. It is not something that I am good at. I have to purposefully have a card written every week that says, celebrate this, dummy.
Yeah.
Because I am not good at celebrating. So it's really nice just to take one service a year and just say, okay, God, we're going to celebrate what you've done here inside of this church, inside of this ministry over the last 12 months. And so early on, we started that almost as a... maybe like a homecoming type service. Mm-hmm. Hey, everybody come back. After a year, all 8 of you that have left, y'all please come back and be a part of the service. But we started almost like a birthday party, anniversary type thing. Hey, everybody come, let's celebrate. Mm-hmm. And so through the years, it has turned into a day of vision. It's turned into a day of casting vision, but also looking back and seeing vision fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so 18 is a really cool opportunity to look back at what God has done this year, but also to say, okay, now here goes what the future holds. And each anniversary service is uniquely beautiful because I never thought we would make it this far.
Yeah. And so here we are, anniversary service is coming up, and like you said, celebrating. Casting vision, which is super cool. Yeah. Casting vision is scary and fun all at the same time, and it's gonna be an awesome moment for our church. So excited about that. Now here's an interesting moment.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord is right. So let's play it.
Yeah, and today is Grandparents' Day, so we celebrate all of the grandparents in the house. Thank you for what you've done.
Look, I got my grandparents' shoes on.
If you're a grandparent,
Velcro.
Just wave at me. Grandparents, just wave at me.
So I always listen to me. Always. have a cue in here, a segment for Maddie. Just how it is. Sometimes she does it to herself. Sometimes I just manipulate the video.
Most of the time she does it to herself.
I don't even have to try.
You don't even have to try.
I just pull the clip. So this was one of those times where it was like Grandparents' Day.
Honestly, I was unsure what she was doing. I didn't hear, because she's not in the monitors and I am in the monitors.
Okay.
I'm in the monitors because of preaching, because when I get up there with the band, I want to be in the monitors. Mm-hmm. So when she gets up there, she's not really in the monitors. You can still hear her out, and you can hear her there. But whenever I'm talking, because I'm in the monitors, I don't really hear what she's saying if I'm kind of like in a moment like that where I'm over talking her.
Right.
And so as I was talking, I didn't really hear what she was saying. I heard her talk about Velcro and unsnap her shoes, and I was trying to figure out what she was saying.
It's like some new Gen Z.
Yeah, I didn't know. And then I got to maybe lunch yesterday, and I was like, what did you say with Velcro? She was like, I tell them I got my old man shoes on. And I was like,
So the face that you usually show on stage, it was delayed. You had a delayed reaction to what she did.
She's like, no, I want them to see that I was
You couldn't
old
even,
like them or whatever. And
you
I'm
couldn't
like,
even cover. Like, usually you can cover.
Man.
Like, please excuse us, guys. You know, you couldn't even do it because you didn't hear. Oh, my gosh. That's great.
I couldn't even apologize for her Velcro old people shoes.
Guys,
joke.
now we apologize. Forgive us for all people who wear Velcro.
And in her mind, she's thinking, look, I'm one of you. I got Velcro shoes on just like you.
I'm one of you. I'm all things to all people.
I'm all right. Look at me. I'm one of you. But
yeah. Sometimes I don't like tying my shoes either, you know? Like,
I can't get down there and do this.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just...
Very practical of you, you know? So, way to go, Maddie. We love you. All right, so we'll go
She's one of a
into...
kind.
We'll call this the tap and the call. So check this out. We'll go... Maybe you missed it here. Back up here a little bit. Pulpit set up. Boom. Saw that? That's the tap. What do you do there? Because a couple times we have seen you do this, or every time we've seen you do this, but it's like one simple tap there. What is that? What's that tap?
Depends on where it comes out from, Henry. I have a title slide, like, for yesterday, it's like the grandparents like looking at each other, generation. So that's like the title slide. If he has it already on like play mode to where you just tap it to go to the next screen. If it's on grandparents thing, then I'll just tap it. Okay, let me just make sure I know what screen one is. If it's not on play, then I hit play so that it comes to the full screen so that it's there, it's ready.
Do you ever, like me with slideshows, do you ever have that freak out moment where like you tap accidentally and then you like try to go back and you tap again? You just keep going down.
I have been in so many moments of going, I'd be in the middle of preaching and go, oh no, I think I skipped a slide. I think I hit, because going from where I was just at to where I'm at now, there was something in between this.
There's a piece of logic I'm missing.
And then you pinch it, and so it closes back in, and then you go over here to the left and go up, and you're like, oh man, that's what I missed. Then hit play, and then you try to figure out how to get back there. It's tricky.
All this while preaching.
So
you're trying to
all
sound,
is going through your mind.
You're trying
for sure.
to sound like you know what you're talking about.
All of it going through your mind.
Different.
Trying your best to keep it all together.
I wonder what the rule is there. Like how many sentences can you get based off of like your brain functioning on a thought before you just don't know where you are anymore and you have to now stop doing everything? Like I wonder what that is.
So interesting.
Maybe we can time that. We can do some scientific research through the podcast there for you guys.
And then I just looked at him. We had planned on
tap, and then you do.
We had planned on ending here. How great thou art, and I just looked at him and said,
That's a pretty long
how
conversation.
great is our God?
Okay.
Sing with me, how great is our God? And so he just changed it back into that song so that we could. The crowd during that song, it was like this was their favorite song ever. They were just declaring it. And then especially that one part, you're the name above all names. Yeah. They were just declaring that part out.
Yeah. And it was cool because we had some of the new of songs at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then we had How Great Thou Art. And then whatever that.
How Great Is Our God.
What do you call it when you pair the two songs together?
Mashup.
We did a mashup between those two.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see almost like not every generation was represented in the song, but you could say that
for sure
almost every generation was represented in a different piece of the set, which was cool to see. Let's start moving into the actual sermon piece of things, all right?
Reels and things of that nature. Carson, will you stand up right there?
This was an illustration that you did.
Will you stand up? Uncle James, will you stand up right there? This is Uncle James, okay?
I'm surprised he didn't get like a standing
If I were
applause.
to ask you how to make a call, how would you make a call, Uncle James?
He did great.
And how would you make a call, Carson? Right, Uncle James is doing the rotary, and Carson's hitting a button and saying hello, right? If I were to ask you how to roll down a car window, you're sitting in the passenger seat, how do you roll down a car window? How do you roll down a car window? Right? If I asked you how you take a picture, how would you take a picture?
He's directing track. Look, tell him to get over.
Right?
He's good.
How would you take a picture?
It's like a mime.
Yeah, right? Just pull the, generations are so incredibly different. Young said.
So you said you got this from...
I saw a reel.
Yeah.
I saw a reel, and it was like two people standing on different sides of the wall.
Okay.
And they were like, hey, and it was like, I don't know, Gen Alpha, I don't know who it was, maybe millennials and baby boomers. I can't remember exactly which two generations it was. But anyways, they were talking through different things and, okay, show me how you would. And they had like 10 of them. And I thought, man, that is so true. And so in the first service I did it, like this service, they already knew the questions because they had seen this first service. First service, they did it.
I was going to say, did Uncle James perform like that in the 9?
In the 9 a.m., he did the exact same thing.
Everybody, round of applause.
And so he did.
Round of applause.
He moved people around. So in the 9 a.m., they didn't know that was coming. And so I just had them sit down in the 9 a.m. And honestly, camera guys didn't know it was coming either, so they didn't have good shots of them. But I just had them sit, and I was like, Uncle James, how would you make a call? And he just, that's how he was raised to make a call.
Yeah.
Carson, how would you make a call? And so
Yeah.
just it's interesting.
Yeah. It's cool to see like those things, things that we see in social media life, how they make their way into a sermon for us to be able to use the way we want them to.
Absolutely.
So, cool there. Here, this is talking about care for one another. Okay, this was the setup.
In 1 Corinthians 12:25, it says, "Give the same care to one another." This should be the heartbeat of the church, that we are caring for each other, no matter the generation, no matter where you came from, how you got here. We are caring for one another. We are caring for one another well. There should be in the church world a passing of the baton.
Yeah, I'll get to some of this later. But this, to me, seems, since I've been here, this seems to be a big part of what we do.
And it wasn't, man. This is the crazy thing. Like, multi-generational ministry wasn't something, honestly, like, this sounds terrible. It wasn't something I was interested in. I didn't care if old people came. When we started, like, 18 years ago, and I don't care. Because in my mind, the old people that wanted to come to church with me were going to be the people that, were negative and picked you apart and told you all the things that you did wrong. So why would I want that in ministry?
Again, to give some context there, that's part of your story.
Part of my story.
Of church hurt and things you had to go through. So that's, when you're saying some of those things, that's the filter by which you're seeing
Absolutely. Things. And so I went 5-6 years without ever having a 60-year-old couple in the church.
Wow.
Yeah, and so Patsy and Jenny walked into the church one day, older couple. They were in their 70s, walked into the church one day, hugged them, loved them, hey, great seeing you, whatever. And she said, can we set up a meeting with you? Set up a meeting with me. They came talk to me in my office. We were at 3690 at the time. Came and talked to me in my office and asked me all the questions. It was just, in my head, it was, okay, here we go again. This is, the old people want to pick you apart. They asked me about everything from the rapture to Holy Spirit conversation, everything. All of the questions, asked them all. Got to the end and they said, okay, how do you feel about a multi-generational church? What do you think about, older? And I was like, oh, I love them. Bring them in, whatever. And they were like, well, we're going to help you grow this area of the church. And they did.
Wow.
Every older couple because we'd have older families that walk in, but they just didn't feel welcome. This was a bunch of young people. So every older family that walked in, they just wrapped their arms around them. And then all of a sudden, this multi-generational congregation started forming. And then you're like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. Oh, okay. I get it. And so now, uber passionate about having a multicultural, but also multi-generational church.
Yeah, that's so cool. And so you talked about them wrapping their arms
Got to.
around those people, the ones that you're talking about generationally, maybe in a different place than you are, maybe you're not even able to relate to them, but you can have people around you that do. You then gave a challenge or a warning, I guess a warning flag here. I called this segment Arms Wide Open. You kind of sang earlier. I don't think you're listening. It's too early. Yeah. So
That Creed?
maybe.
All right.
I think you got to be like, with arms wide open, something like that. Anyway, all right, so here we go.
Children's leaders. We have colleges that are opening their arms wide, accepting our kids in an attempt to indoctrinate them with every philosophical reason of how to get the faith that you put into them out. If you're not careful, if you're not intentional in passing the baton, somebody else will be intentional in getting that you put in them out of them.
It's crazy.
This is such a this wasn't like for me when I was watching the sermon back, this was one of those things that stuck in my mind. It's a simple piece of segment inside of your sermon, but it was a hey, wake up, like, we're getting to the place where you're just allowing whoever to speak into your family, your children, instead of wrapping your arm around them, you're allowing other people to be
wild,
able to
man.
speak into those key areas maybe in lives.
It's wild to think that we are going to send off 18, 19-year-old kids to college without having built a strong foundation inside of them and have not trained them well and then expect them to stand strong on their faith in Christ. You know, the statistics of people who leave the faith whenever they go to college is astonishing. But is that they left the faith or that they didn't have a foundation of faith to begin with? They may have had, like, I go to church, but they left the church because we didn't ground them in this. We didn't make this a foundational thing. I'm not talking about coming to church. I'm talking about faith. We didn't make this faith a foundational thing inside of them. So when they got to college, they said, I'm not doing this. You know, there's a difference between, you know, being a stupid teenager and slipping up and sinning and things of that nature and walking away from your faith. That's different.
Yeah.
You know, and so maybe the problem isn't that colleges are ruining them. Maybe the problem is that we haven't put inside of them a foundation, grounded them in their faith enough by the time they're 18.
Yeah. More of we haven't sent them off prepared for what they're about to face in life.
For them to lace up their boots.
Put on your backpack.
There you go.
Hey. So let's check out this next segment. They're like, please stop.
I'm throwing you all
Please
kinds
stop
of
singing.
off with all
if
of
you're
your
wondering who's
transitions.
singing, you know, it's not a professional. It's just me. If you're not able to watch this, see how I did that, Caleb?
15. Listen, I'm gonna butcher some names.
You
So
gonna
go ahead,
butcher
all you
some
Bible
names.
and theology scholars, just say, "Bless his heart, Jesus."
Bless his heart,
And when the
Jesus.
Philistines
And you
were
had
at
some
war
funny
again,
Well, there was some names.
There were some funny ones in there. I was wondering, because you do this occasionally, do you have people really trying to like reach out to you and say, do you know you mispronounced that word?
When you are fat people oftentimes will joke about being fat before you can joke about them being fat, just to disarm you and make the jokes about being fat before you can make them, so it's just easier that way. Someone with and I don't say this like I humbly say that somebody with a learning disability
Genuinely say,
hey, let me just disarm you. I don't know how to say these words.
yeah.
And it's not like I haven't like looked them up and hit the play button and heard them said, but then, honest to goodness, the way my mind works, I can go from that moment, turn it off, and then read it and look at the words in Scripture, and I'm like, I don't even remember what that says. And so it's just disarming, hopefully, and just honest of, hey, listen, I don't know how to read these words.
See,
These are too hard for me.
so you know how there's like some podcasts, they like stop in the middle for an advertisement. here's our advertisement today, sponsored by Johnny Kilman. Please don't send emails to my pastor saying, hey, you said that wrong. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think people, the beauty of having a learning disability is I didn't know I had one. Right? And so growing up, it wasn't like this is diagnosed like, oh, you're struggling to read, wonder why. And so becoming a doctor like you is not something that was ever on my bingo card. Because graduating college was a big deal for me.
Right.
Because of the struggles that I have to put things together. Not because I don't know it, but because, what I see versus what my mind translates that I see is just two completely different things.
Yeah.
So, I will see a sequence of numbers and be able to butcher them badly,
Yeah.
I'll see a name that's got a bunch of A's and N's in it, and my mind will be singing the banana song, So it's just, so is that Gwen Stefani? I don't know. Anyways.
What's going on this morning? We need to go back. We didn't have this happen with echinacea tea.
We need some more echinacea tea. Anyways, so it's just easier to disarm people and say, hey, I'm gonna get these wrong.
Let's go ahead and
get this out of the way. I'm gonna get these wrong.
Yeah. So moving on to this next segment, you talk about something that I've heard a few times. It's starting to become, I think, more popular to talk about. This idea of generational curses. Always been around. Always been talked about some way, shape, or form. But I'm starting to hear it more, and you brought it up a little bit inside of the sermon, so we'll check it out here.
Why in the world are they still fighting against the same group of people? And I hear things like generational curses, and if you're not careful, you see stories about those things and don't think that they're actually real life. But if you don't find deliverance completely from the enemies that you fought against you or that are fighting against you, there are future generations that, if you're not careful, will come up and have to fight the same thing that you're fighting here and now.
It's true. Like, I don't think the conversation of generational curses or generational blessings is weird because it's very evident in Scripture.
Okay.
I'll curse you and your generations. I'll bless you and your generations. Your kids, your grandkids, whatever. So I don't think that's weird. I think the part that we struggle with is, how do I break this?
Yeah.
And if you're struggling with something now, can you break it, or is it passed down to JD3 to where he's going to struggle with it? And then what happens when he's already struggling with it and then you break it here? Does it help there's a lot of spiritual, connotations to all of it, but there are definitely generational curses. There are parents who've struggled with alcohol that have that thing inside of them. A doctor, I tell the story of my grandfather. I don't know if you have it pulled, but I tell the story of my grandfather, and the doctor told my mom, I was sitting in the waiting room as the doctor came in to tell the family, and me and my brother were the only kids in there, and the doctor told my mom, asked my mom, do any of you guys drink? And my mom said, no. And he said, I was young. The way I interpreted it was, as a young kid, I was 6 years old, 7 years old. The way I interpreted it as a young kid, the doctor essentially told them the thing that in him drives him to do that is in each of you. And so don't ever touch this stuff. And maybe it was a doctor just terrifying a young boy, but I was terrified. I never wanted to turn into an alcoholic, and so I never did the things that he did because I didn't want to go down that path.
Wow. And so it's an interesting concept because I don't like, this is a conversation we have in young adults sometimes. It's been brought up in young adults, and totally the spiritual implications inside of you passing on to generations. But also that, what's the line? Is there any line or any thought process behind also it's genetic? Like do you think that pairs together in some way in your mind? I'm not trying to get us into a theological box here.
No, I definitely think, I definitely think genetics is a part of our humanity is a part of this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a nature versus nurture, versus supernatural concept to all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Is if John DeHaven III struggles with, I don't know. We'll say making way too much money and being way too blessed. Is that because his dad was so driven to, passionately fight spiritually for him?
Mm-hmm.
Or was that just because something was birthed in him to do that? Or was that just because God was supernatural and allowed that to happen? All of those things can be true to a certain extent, but I think that I'm one of those, my mind doesn't equate excuses.
Mm-hmm.
So if you tell me it's nature, nurture, supernatural, whatever, okay, I don't want there to be any excuses for my life of why this happened. In the negative, the good, I give God all the credit for any good. But anything bad, it's Jamie did something wrong. So Jamie, you figure it out. Get your tail up and get back in the game.
Mm. Wow. So let's go back maybe at the beginning of your prep for this sermon. You brought this up? You said I felt this.
I don't know who I'm speaking
to
here, but I
just one little part right here.
Spirit this week. There's things that you have whipped your entire life, and if you're not careful, you will go into seasons where you grow faint or you get weary, and in those seasons, the enemy will target you and attempt to take you out because you are weary in those seasons.
I thought about pastors, honestly. I thought about pastors who have done so well, whipped so many giants in their life, and then they get to seasons where they're exhausted, weary, worn out, and somebody should come along beside of them and say, hey, let me protect you in this season. You don't have to fight in this season. Let me protect you. Go take a sabbatical or go, listen, I don't want to get into the whole pastors work 2 days a week. If people only knew the weight that were on pastors, especially in these smaller churches and what they have to go through, the battles that they face every single week, and they just get to the place to where they're exhausted, they're weary. They don't want to sin.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to fall into, an affair. They don't want to steal money. They don't want to do these things that they fall into, but they get weary.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get weary, their guard comes down a little bit. And in those seasons of weariness, the enemy thinks he has a fairer fight. So to the pastors watching, but to everybody, inside of your marriage, when you get weary, when your wife or your husband is just wearing you out and you're like, oh my gosh, they drive me crazy, they are exhausting. When you get to those moments, caution flag.
Yeah.
When you get to the place of financially, I'm just sick of fighting financially. I'm just sick of, paycheck to paycheck. I'm just sick of doing everything and never getting ahead. When you get to those moments, caution flag, right? Because that's when you'll do something stupid financially.
Yeah.
When you get to those moments where you're just like, I'm just exhausted, it's the end of the day and nobody cares. And, if you're not careful, caution flag, that's when you'll turn to some sort of substance abuse or some sort of, avenue of getting out of that funk that you're in. So it's in those weary seasons that if you're not careful, that's whenever that's whenever you can slip up and make a bad mistake.
So we taught the content of it. Let's talk the practical, maybe for the pastor, or maybe for us listening. When you said, I felt this in my spirit this weekend going in, or this week going into the sermon, what was that like? What is that feeling that?
Yeah, I was
writing,
I was typing it, and whenever I typed it out, it was like something inside of me just went, yes, somebody needs to hear this. And so it just pondered there a few moments, and I wrote a few notes about it, just that was kind of stirring in me, and I just thought back of mistakes that have happened in my life, and mistakes that have happened in other ministries, and mistakes that have happened in other friends' lives, and I just started thinking back over all of the moments, and I just thought, you know what, somebody needs to hear this week. Somebody needs to be reminded that if they're weary, if they're exhausted, keep their guard up. The enemy is like a roaring lion looking for somebody to devour. Keep your guard up.
Yeah, it's good. So we get to then talk about struggles and sharing them with your kids, the people around you.
The battle, just repackage things. Listen to me, if you fought giants inside of your life, then why don't you tell your kids about them? My grandfather was an alcoholic. He struggled with drug abuse his entire life. I remember one night my grandfather would overdose, and he was going to the Conway Hospital, and my mom threw us all in the car, and we went driving to the hospital. We beat the ambulance there to Conway Hospital, and I remember my grandfather being wheeled in and foam coming out of his mouth. He was unconscious, and my mom in that moment took an opportunity to teach me and my brother.
That's true.
She said, this has been your grandfather his entire life, and his dad as well. This doesn't have to be you, because I fought this giant for you, so you don't have to. So don't you dare go back to the place to where you end up like him. Right?
It's true, man.
Come on.
It's so true. I will never forget that moment. And did it skew the version of my grandfather to me because I saw him like that? Yes.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that vivid picture. But am I better today because of that conversation? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I kept up guards in moments where I was a young adult and I could have done something stupid, but instead I reflected back to that moment and said, I never want to end up like that. I never want to be like that.
Yeah, and in my mind, the way I processed it, because of how I grew up, was I didn't necessarily get to see struggle too much. Like I was kind of almost shielded from it. So I probably saw people struggling. I probably by third party experienced the struggle of other people in the church. But I always felt like when I struggled, I felt like that wasn't normal for me to struggle.
Yeah.
So therefore, I couldn't share what was going on in my life.
It's true, man. It's like we don't have a group of people where we can just be honest with and say, hey, listen, I'm battling some stuff.
Yeah,
I'm going through a fight right now.
Yeah.
And because you don't have people to do that with, we had a conversation yesterday at lunch about this, where we can't have honest conversations, because if I tell you what's actually happening inside of me, then you're going to look at me different. If I tell you the anger that I have towards that person, then you're going to look at that person different. So it's just better for me to keep all of it inside.
Yeah, I'm thankful I had someone, shout out, I don't think he'll ever see this or whatever, but his name's Kenny Brazel.
Kenny.
He went to Elmwood with me,
Awesome.
And we would sit in the balcony sometimes, and there would be sometimes he'd look at me and be like, how you doing?
Dang.
And I was like, you really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And he would always kind of like speak that, like hope, kind of be there, not necessarily like giving certain wisdom or whatever, but always being like, hey, you're okay. Like it's going to be all right kind of thing. And so I've always appreciated that, but it seemed like in the totality, and talking to young adults last night and stuff too, like that is something where it's like, who's struggling?
Yeah.
Like who's going through something really? I don't know. So it's one of those things where you're like, man, I hope people are hearing this and it's okay to open up to people about what you're going through. Yeah. So in this next segment, we talk about, I just called it Church Kids. And just observation, Caleb. I don't know.
See my wife already.
Yeah, that's gonna be on the next segment. So we're getting to places. We're foreshadowing some things. But look how tall Caleb is.
He's a monster.
Oh my gosh! I looked at this and I was like, "Did you shrink, or did he just?" I don't understand it.
I think it's the way the camera is.
Yeah, is this like camera shot?
It's camera shot.
He did that to make himself look a lot taller.
Yeah.
I see what you did there, Caleb.
He had a filter on there.
Yeah. So
kids as well. They're all ours. We'll share them.
So you brought your kids up here,
kids,
and you're about to go into an illustration here. Talk about church kids. You were a church kid. Your kids grew up in the church.
Yeah.
Do you I'm not regret like having the church be the epicenter
Lord no.
of their life?
Lord no. I am so thankful. Listen, you got a baby.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to raise that baby in the church. As much as his grandparents are 2 and 4 hours away, his real grandparents are 2 and 4 hours away. My kids' grandparents were 20 minutes down the road and still at times felt that same divide because they never went to, very rarely went to their church for anything, maybe a VBS or a special service or whatever, but and my parents never came to our church because they had their own church, you know what I mean? So
Right.
so it was very much, it was the people of the church that helped to raise my kids. I don't mean that like my parents were amazing.
Yeah.
Like they were there, like they
Same here.
babysat them all the time. I'm talking like
Yeah.
spiritual inside of the church. Where when I was growing up, if I was jumping over a chair, my mom whooped my tail. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have my mom here to whoop their tail because we weren't in the same building. She wasn't able to see them. So it was church people that helped to correct my kids and helped to point them in the right direction and help to encourage some things spiritually and nurture some things spiritually inside of them. And so I don't know. It's the reason why people don't talk about parenting because you're still right in the middle of parenting, and
you're not out of the woods yet.
You're not out of the woods yet,
Yeah.
so you're so afraid of having like conversation about what's happening. But I don't know how we did what we did, but I'm so thankful that we did what we did because my kids are amazing. They love the Lord. They want to serve Him, and I'm so thankful for every day that I brought them to the church and they'd say, I don't want to go to church again. And I'd say, hey, again, we would remind them of their friends. Hey, Katie after school has to hang out with Miss Bianca. She has to stay at the school an extra 2 hours after school or whatever. Hey, this person's friend, they have to be, and we'd get them snacks, we'd get them fun things to do at the church just so the church didn't feel like, go sit in the corner and do nothing. I'm talking about during like work time.
Yeah.
Go sit in the corner and do nothing. And then we always help them find them opportunities to serve and just to be a part of the body. And so I'm so thankful for my kids, where they are, how they got to where they are. And don't regret not one. I regret things in their upbringing, but raising them in the church every single day was not one of them.
Yeah. So cool. So we get to this.
I regret putting Caleb in football one time. That was a bad decision.
Yeah. Do you regret this moment,
Y'all
putting
hang
them
in there.
behind you while
We
you're
can do
talking?
it. I hear y'all giggling behind me. Hang in there.
My family.
Unhinged.
My baby Cammy.
What was
Sometimes
happening?
she deals with some-
What were you hearing? Because nobody else could hear.
Oh,
What-
they saw it.
They saw it.
They were giggling. The congregation was giggling as well. I said,
You were talking. I mean,
I said, Carson's struggling with some meanness or whatever, and Maddie has, when Maddie has had seasons of being mean, and I saw her behind me, like, oh, I've been mean, yes, like. And then I immediately said, I have moments of meanness where I have been mean and hurt relationships. But as soon as Maddie did, it was like the kids went, we don't have to be serious anymore. Because the congregation's laughing. Let's joke.
You didn't want it to be a laughing.
No,
like,
it was very
this
serious.
was a very
it was
serious moment.
passionate declaration of generational impact.
Mm-hmm.
And so once it started, I went all the way through Carson. I was at Cammie, and I just heard them behind. And it wasn't just like they were giggling. They were talking, and I looked back, and they were having conversation. And I was like, guys, hang in there. Because they did so great the first service. Guys, hang in there. Come on, we can do this. So
Almost made it.
So
back to kind of what we talked about with church kids. And here was a cool illustration. You started bringing
beside of them and encouraging
up
people like
people one by
Haley
one.
in their life to come along beside of them and encourage them. And all of these people that are encouraging my kids are now encouraging Kent and Carson and Haley. And this is what the kingdom of God should look like.
And then I didn't even go to my final point. My final point was Carson is now leading your kids in middle school, and Cammie is now leading your kids in elementary school, and Caleb's entire team is made up of I did it in the 9 a.m. service, and then I just got to the place in the 11 where I totally missed the last part of this process, which is they're investing in them. Now they're investing in them.
Do you think part of that was being off stage? You're going off straight off the dome.
Oh yeah. I had 4 slides written out that I'm going through 4 slides right off the dome.
Yeah, but it's definitely a cool, impactful. As one by one, you're bringing people up. They're surrounded. I thought that was, even in that moment, cool illustration there. Then you make this declaration of this is what you want.
You poured into them. I want this church to raise up spiritual giants that can fight against everything that hell throws at them. I want your kids and my kids to be surrounded with godly people that help them fight and encourage them to fight. I want, whenever they get exhausted and they're unable to fight, I want them to be looking around at another generation to pass the baton to, the same way my generation will be looking to pass the baton.
Preach,
God
man,
help
God.
us.
Yeah.
Preach.
Yeah, man. I want a generation to rise up, and again, I don't know how far you went into this. I want a generation to rise up and not be afraid of conversations of division, because they so understand scriptural unity. I want them not to be afraid of conversations of sexual orientation, because they so understand scriptural. They have clarity of scripture when it comes to marriage and transitioning and genders and fornication and all those things. I want them to be so confident in these areas. And as the world is filling their minds full of garbage, I want them to be able to say, I know who I am in Christ. I know what the word says.
Yeah, maybe if I'm being too forward here, you can tell me now.
Sure.
Let's not talk through this. I feel like kind of things we've been talking about, maybe in office, kind of things that have been on your heart a lot lately, is this finding a way to equip the next generation with the ability to do those things, because you see the need for the next generation, even maybe when you're not here anymore, that there's this generation that is able to speak to things that are going to probably be so muddy. There's a lack of defined truth that we're going to need some generations to be able to say.
We have kids that were raised around here that have wandered away and turned to a different version of truth. The flip side is we have kids who are here now that, if we're not careful, we have interns, 19-year-old interns, that we better invest and raise up in such a way that they're able to take what we're pouring into them and run with it. At 19, you were saved at 19?
Mm-hmm.
19, Kenny Braswell comes up to you and says, "Bro, how are you doing?" Kenny and I went to Lee together. He's a good dude, was in ministry for a long time. It wasn't about ministry. It was about somebody looking into your eyes and asking an honest question, because he saw something in you. And if we're not careful, we stop having those conversations with generations. Let's just go grab a meal. Let's just go, let's go home, play on our phones, watch TV, all the things, rather than just stopping and saying, okay, how are you doing?
Yeah.
What's actually happening inside of you? Like, how can I help you figure this out? This is what you want to do. How can I help you figure this out?
Yeah.
Oh, you're having some issues in your marriage. How can I help you figure this out? And so I think one of the great parts of our church is we have a younger generation rising up that's hungry to do ministry. But if we're not careful, they're not trained well on how to do ministry. And not that we have the greatest training program, this is how you have to do it, but at least like we want to partner with them.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to be a part of this journey with you. And so I'm just kind of challenged the entire staff, everybody around here, like find somebody, pour your life into somebody. 2 people, 3 people, pour your life into them. It doesn't, I don't want it to be like, oh, every 2 years we're finding 2 or 3 more people. No. I want, like, these are your people. Like, pour your life into these people. My dad poured his life into 5 of us. And all 5 of us are doing ministry right now. 3 of us pastoring churches, 2 of us associate pastors at churches, or youth pastor. One of them's a youth pastor. Like my dad poured his life into 5 people. And now those 5 people are continuing his legacy on.
That's awesome.
So I want us to do that as well. I want all of us to do that.
Yeah. It's cool. Love it.
Caleb's pouring into Gabe right now. Not only just being a friend, but hey, here's how you do this, X, Y, Z. But I want Caleb to be more than that with Gabe. I want him to be a spiritual lighthouse for him, a refuge for him. I want him to be a discipler for him. I want him to encourage Gabe, but also challenge Gabe spiritually. And that only happens because Caleb's growing. And I don't ever want it to be, okay, Gabe, you've hit 18, so now you're good. I want the rest of Caleb and Gabe's life, I want them to have this relationship.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts.
Yeah. No, I love it. And another thing I loved, that's my transition line right there. You hear that? That's professional. Fred.
And then all of a sudden, Fred come out on stage and he'd be like, late in the midnight hour, boom, I'm gonna turn it around. It's gonna work in your favor. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Anyways, go listen to it.
If I had, guys, just listen to me. If I had $1 for every time the bishop has busted out Fred like that,
you have a lot of money.
I'd be a rich man. I'd be a rich man right now. So
Fred got me through some hard seasons in my life.
Fred had to do something because he should be getting some royalties from me.
I know Fred. I don't know him personally. I know he's sitting at home right now.
You feel like you know him very well, though.
Oh, I know Fred.
Yeah. Fred may not know you.
I can do already. I can do them all. Like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Every run, every grunt, everything inside of every... Man, I wore that CD out.
You go to, like, Vegas and be like his impersonator.
I could go to Vegas and be his impersonator.
Yeah.
We don't look nothing alike. I think he's lost some weight now or something. I don't know. Anyways, Fred Hammond's amazing. Yeah, and yesterday, actually, on the way to lunch, when I pulled into the lunch yesterday, I turned this on my radio, and I made a video lip syncing it for everybody. So Acts chapter 16 and verse 25.
Very impressive.
The Bible says it, and at midnight. I wore that CD out. I get hyper. I still do now. The way my brain works, I get hyper focused on a song. And just wear that song out. Wear it out.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was, back then, that was one of those songs that I just wore out.
So, we get to the end here. This is how we're going to end this today.
All right.
I might have missed this, but this is more of like an online production thing. Maybe you can help me here. I'm going to play this.
All right, you testify to this entire congregation. Everybody watching
at the
online,
end.
you know
Maybe
the Lord
pick
Jesus
this.
Christ is your
This is
Savior.
part of the reason I brought it here. It's
baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son,
explain it right
and the
now,
Holy
but
Spirit.
I have decided. Now, if you go back, pause, right here, wording, baptism. I have decided. Was this like one time ever? It just matches perfectly.
I think this has to be the one time ever, right,
Yeah.
Caleb? That's not normal, right? It's on there every week. Right. I have decided it's on there every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I was just like, did we change the wording to like, I have decided on the graphic to match?
Nope.
Applause. Online campus production team. Way to go. Like, that's.
Nope. One time ever it matches.
Praise
Because
the
he
Lord.
sung I have decided.
Praise the Lord for the one time.
Yes.
Well,
we should have acted like we planned this. I'm really intrigued to do next week's hot off the mic.
okay.
because anniversary service, a lot of moving parts. Really interested to see what you pull from the clips of the service next week, because it's going to be a lot of it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see how I do. But hey, check it out next week. Love to get your feedback. But if you got an energy drink you want me to try, I'm gonna do that now because I have no partnership.
You just try them all.
Forget everybody. I'm just doing my own thing.
You just try them all.
I'm my own man. I'm trying them all.
Love it.
All right. Love you guys.
Peace.
We'll see you later.